Thank
So
you.
we'll start the session now, sir. Okay.
Thank you, Sunil, for extending this invitation. I hope I am audible.
Yeah, audible, sir. Audible.
Yeah, great. So I can see quite a few participants already, like 14, 15 of us. So I think we'll start off. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be talking about the non-operative management of pain, which most of us are dealing with, in fact. And that is what our basic practice is based on, in fact. If you probably look at your statistics, there would be only 1 out of the 100 that would actually end up in a surgery. So the rest would uh, be managed by us, be it a physiotherapist or a physician or a pain management specialist. And of late, fortunately, pain management is being developed as a separate branch of medicine as well. There are quite a few anesthetists who have taken up pain management as a specialty subject. And for any branch to develop, the acceptability has to come from the fraternity itself, and that is where we come in. So that even if we are not doing it ourselves, at least we should know about it, okay, and impart proper knowledge to the patients and people concerned. Uh, if you remember initially when arthroplasty, when joint replacements or arthroscopy or ACL reconstructions, when they started coming in, and not many people were doing it. So whenever somebody went to went for a second opinion, and if the person was not doing it himself, he would say, "अरे कोई फायदा नहीं है joint replacement का, वो भी फिर भी वैसे ही रह जाता है," and all that. But as more and more people started realizing its importance, more and more people started advocating it, the branch developed on its own. So pain management, also the intervention pain management, also is a rather new kid on the block, and uh, it's our responsibility that we should all of us should know about the various options that are available with us, so that we can give these options to the patients. Not everybody can end up in a surgery for various reasons, be it economic, be it social, be it medical reasons. Maybe they might not be fit for any surgical procedures. So we should know about these options which are might be available. I'll start off with a small presentation. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, great. So this is an obligatory slide. Whenever we talk about pain, we definitely have to put the slide up. But I won't go into the details, otherwise you will doze off even before the session starts. Uh, Pain management is basically concerned with either we treat the pain or we treat the cause. Interventional pain management deals mostly with treating the pain, and it gives us time till uh, the other modalities of treatment, the drugs, the physiotherapy, the lifestyle modifications, they start showing their effects. In the meantime, the patient needs to have proper pain relief, and that is where we come in. Of course, these are the various forms in which we can go ahead with pain management, be it diet modifications, lifestyle modifications, meditation, alternative medicines, drugs, injection-based techniques, and radiofrequency ablations. I'll rush through other aspects quite quickly so that we can come to the main. Of course, we know that there are certain dietary supplements which are rich in omega-3 and antioxidants, which have anti-inflammatory effects, like seafood, salmon, green leafy vegetables. These are rich in antioxidants and omega-3, and they have anti-inflammatory. They have been proven to have anti-inflammatory effects. At the same time, diet rich in artificial sweeteners like cold drinks, soft drinks, chocolates, these tend to increase the inflammation process. And you will often find people telling you that whenever they have these food items, their pain increases. Meditation and lifestyle modifications, of course, they shift your focus to something quiet and calm, reducing inflammation, and they help in releasing endorphins and have effects similar to even opioid analgesics. Alternative medicines, it is considered a complementary therapy. Many forms are available, be it acupuncture, chiropractic massages, hypnosis, tai chi, yoga, anything. Drugs, of course, they are the over-the-counter drugs which are available, like paracetamol and brufen, Voverin medications. Corticosteroids have been often used as painkillers. In fact, it was very commonly used by the quacks, but the acceptability has definitely increased, especially because of its anti-inflammatory effects. Opioid analgesics, some of them are available in oral forms like tramadol or morphine tablets, which are available, and of course the injectable forms of opioids, which are usually used in the post-operative period in the hospitals. Antidepressants and anticonvulsants. This is the group of medications which we commonly use for neuropathic pain, that is pregabalins, gabapentins, amitriptyline. They are used in various combinations, and the use has gradually increased over the last couple of years. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, like of course, apart from the brufen and Voverin, which is very commonly used, but if we talk about specifically about medicines which are very useful in rheumatoid arthritis and gouty arthritis, are like indomethacin group of medications and etoricoxibs. Then there are patches available, be it lignocaine patches, ketoprofen patches, which are again used for chronic pains. Then there's something called the preemptive analgesia. Preemptive analgesia is like when we know that patient is to undergo, say, a knee replacement surgery tomorrow, and he's bound to have some post-operative pain after that. So some preemptive, we preempt the pain and start the medication even before the pain arises. Gabapentins have been shown to provide a lot of pain relief in this aspect, as do the regional analgesia in the form of injectable analgesia, which is given in the tissue itself during the time of surgery. So these tend to decrease the post-operative pain a lot. Then, of course, there are medications to treat the cause of the pain, be it infection, osteoporosis, malignancy, anything. We'll come to the injection-based techniques, which we should all of us know about. It is certainly not practiced by everyone, but in every city there are a couple of people who have started doing this, and we should try to encourage people to use more and more of these facilities. Facet joint pain is very common in our OPD practice. If you would see patients coming with neck pain, it's a very non-specific dermatomal pain. It's a not very typical radicular pain, probably going to the medial border of the scapula, pain on extension of the neck. These are patients who have more of facet joint pains than neuropathic pain. They benefit a lot with facet block injections. So in the slide, the injection is given at the facet joint itself. This is the facet joint, this is the nerve. The injection doesn't go up to the nerve. It is here localized in the facet joint itself. It's a very superficial joint, and this injection is given under CM guidance and under the image intensifier under local anesthesia. Similarly, there's the lumbar facet pain, which is again very common in lumbar spondylosis. If you can appreciate the direction of the facet, as in the previous slide, the cervical facet was in the oblique direction. The lumbar facet is more vertical. You see on the X-ray, we get a similar image on the CM as well. I'm showing on the X-ray so that it is more visible. This is the classic Scottish Terrier image which we had read about so much about in our undergraduate days. And this is very clear on the oblique X-ray. This vertical line is the facet joint. The transverse process of the vertebra. This is the superior articular process. This is the inferior articular process, right? And this is where the facet joint lies. So in case of facet arthritis, this is where we give the injections, and it is very clear on the C-arm image as well. And this injection also is given under local anesthesia. I'm talking about all procedures which are given under local anesthesia itself. This is the zoomed in image of the same.